Very warm welcome, art lovers. I love this time of year between Christmas and New Year when you have a little bit of breathing space sometimes to reflect on the year that's gone and also look forward to the year that's coming. And in this video, I'm going to be looking back at my top 10 art shows from London in 2023. On New Year's Day, I'm going to be releasing a video which looks forward to the delights which await us in 2024. And I should say that I'm not being London centric by just having the top 10 shows in London. I didn't think it was fair if I included shows from the wider UK because I didn't see anywhere near as many. And in fact, an aim of the art vlog in 2024 is to get to more UK shows from the wonderful galleries across the country. But I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. You will no doubt have your own list of shows that you enjoyed the most. That's one of the wonderful things about art. Yes, there is good and bad art, but it touches us in so many different ways. And so I'm going to start at number 10. And this was an exhibition earlier in the year at the Camden Arts Centre by Mohammed Sami. This might be a bit of a surprise, and I don't think it's appeared in many top 10 lists, but I was really touched by these vast canvases, which to me was some really great depictions of what it was like to live in a dictatorship. I found them chilling, I found them beautiful, and I found them that they've remained with me. These went on to be shown at the Delaware Pavilion, and they hadn't actually lost their power when I saw them there, although I didn't post a vlog from the Delaware on on the art vlog. So I love this show. These paintings were excellent, and Mohammed Sami, in my opinion, is an artist to watch in the future. In ninth place is the current Turbine Hall installation at Tate Modern on the South Bank by Ghanaian artist Anatsui. And I've chosen this because it's such a pleasure to see an artist who can handle the size of this very, very difficult space. Those of you who are regulars at Tate Modern will know that there's been more, I think it's fair to say, misses than hits, as artists attempt to grapple with one of the most challenging spaces in art. And the vast, billowing, sail-like sculpture that greets you as you come in through the Turbine Hall entrance is just the start of three really interesting pieces. I love the narrative approach of this. I love the physical beauty and I love the environmental message as well. And obviously, the really strong comment on colonialism. I've been back lots of times since I covered it on the vlog, and it still manages to enthrall me and captivate me every time. So it's really lovely when when an artist gets it right in the Turbine Hall. Ellen Atsoi did this, and so that's why he's at number 9 in my top 10 art events and shows in London in 2023. In eighth place is a real surprise for me. I didn't expect this to be in my top 10 at all. And it was the free exhibition at the National Gallery, which focused on St. Francis of Assisi. There was just something about this exhibition which was really special. It was the focus on the man, but also the sheer diversity of the art, from old masters like Caravaggio and El Greco to modern masters like Anthony Gormley and the art povre movement. It was just a huge range of art which coalesced really successfully. And I spent a lot of time in this exhibition, over an hour, and considering it was free, it brought me a huge amount of pleasure. I learned a lot about his life, and also, more importantly, from an artistic point of view, about the way that he is still captivating artists to this day. It was a really clever exhibition. It was curated nicely, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I certainly wouldn't have had it up there in my top 10 at the anticipated shows at the start of the year. But this one I thoroughly enjoyed. In seventh place, a show I got a huge amount out of, and I'm sorry I have unfortunately lost my images that I took at this show, although you can still see the video in the links below. Was Alice Neal at the Barbican Gallery, Art Gallery in the Barbican Centre. It was I thoroughly enjoyed this really comprehensive retrospective. The Barbican's a large gallery, so when it just focuses on one artist, it is able to show a lot. And especially what captivated me were the images on the bottom floor when you saw Alice Neal in her pomp. It was a magnificent exhibition, a really strong showing of her work, the strongest that we've ever seen in the UK. And I'm still thinking of her very humane, tender portraits. It was a good show, and I'm really glad I went to this one. In sixth place is Extinction Beckons, the wonderful survey of Mike Nelson's work at the Hayward Gallery on the South Bank in London. Um, I really was worried going into this show because I was a big fan of Mike Nelson. I'm a big fan of Mike Nelson. And I just wondered how a gallery would be able to capture this master of installation arts work. But by reproducing works like The Deliverance and the Patience and Deliverance, and also Triple Bluff Canyon. It managed to do this in spades. You left with this really incredible sense of dystopian art being produced by one of our foremost installation artists. It just worked really well, and it captured, although it wasn't a formal retrospective, it captured his career, it captured what Mike Nelson's about, and it did him justice as an artist, which is the most important thing for me in a retrospective. I won't forget getting lost in the labyrinth like mazes of some of these installations, or going into that chilling room at the heart of Triple Bluff Canyon. This was a really special show, probably not to be repeated, certainly not in the next decades. We're into the top five, and at number five was a show that I was excited about at Dulwich Picture Gallery, and it is Berthe Morisot's show. It was kind of not retrospective, but it was the biggest collection of this very important female impressionist works for a very long time, and I just remember the first and the last room. If you have a look at my review, I wax lyrical about them. She was such an underrated artist, and this show to me made me fall in love with her because I'd only sort of come across her in the odd painting here and there in other galleries before, and this immersion in her work was really beautifully staged and curated. The only criticism I had of it at the time was it could have shown more of Morisot and less of the world around her, but I still think it did this job of reclaiming her reputation as one of the key impressionists. It was a really special show. It was a show that I held close to my heart and will remember for a really long time, for those putting women at the center of the impressionist movement in terms of the portraits as well. It was a brilliant show. At number four is a show which has grown on me massively since I visited it, and I'm probably feeling about more positive about it now than I was when I posted my review. It's actually one of the disadvantages of doing reviews pretty much on the day that you've been to the exhibition. And that's something I may think about with some of the bigger exhibitions changing. Philip Gaston is a wonderful artist in terms of his development. He went through three major stages: an early stage, an abstract stage, and then a mature stage. And I just loved and felt hope from the fact that he found his voice so late on, relatively in the last 10 or 12 years of his artistic career. I've also come to really appreciate his later work, with a cartoonish style which touches on some very controversial themes. I was a bit kind of, it jarred on me a little bit, but I've been back to the exhibition since and think it's just a wonderful show. We won't get another show of this quality in the UK for a very long time. And the great news is, if you're watching this in late December or very early January, you'll still be able to go and see this show because it's still showing rolling over into the new year. It was really strong. The quality of the loans, most of which have come from the United States, is very, very impressive. It's just a magnificent show. If you're a fan of modern art, it's a must see. And that's why I'm putting it at number four. In third place is the old master Frans Hals. This exhibition at the National Gallery on Trafalgar Square was just it was everything I could have wanted from a Frans Hals retrospective. The quality of the loans were incredible. The range of portraiture was just really broad, and I just came out uplifted. He's one of our greatest, most humane portraitists. I love the way that he painted the attitude of the sitter as well as their physical likeness, and it was such a good, well curated show, with just it was better than I hoped, and that's something which is really obviously a barometer. And with Frans Hals, the bar is set very high. It is an absolute must see. It's transferring to Amsterdam, to the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, so you might be able to get to see it there if you haven't already. But it was just the Frans Hals exhibition that I wanted. It's the first big Frans Hals coming together of works for 30 years. We probably won't see another one in the next 20 or 30 years because it's so hard to get such a good quality of loans. So this was magnificent. Do check out my rather comprehensive vlog of that one. Aha. In second place is a controversial one, I think, in the sense that I haven't seen it on any other top 10 lists that I've seen. But for me, it wowed me, it moved me. It's probably my most viewed video. I haven't actually checked in detail, but it was Anselm Kiefer's Finnegan's Wake. It was astonishing to see a artist in his later years still producing work at his prime. I absolutely loved the way that he took over and made White Cube Bermondsey his own. The paintings, the kind of paintings of woodland that really struck me. If I was a multimillionaire and had a big house, I would have one of those on my wall if they were for sale. But it was also the recreation of his storeroom, some of his set piece epic installations as well. This show had everything. It was really moving. I really loved reading your comments and your views on this show, which just keep coming in even though it stopped. It was a show that I remember for forever as an exhibition. It was that good, and that's why I put it at number two. And number one, this was one of my most anticipated shows of the year, and it was at the Victoria and Albert Museum, and it didn't disappoint. It was on the focused on the work of Italian sculptor Donatello. This had travelled from Florence to Berlin to London. It was a bit of a curtailed show in London compared to the one in Florence because we couldn't get all of the loans across from Florence, but still, it was magnificent. It was just beautifully created in this underground gallery. There was a flow through different styles of Donatello's work. It made use of the good collection that the V&A have on Donatello, but it brought so much more in terms of sculptures and bronzes especially. It just brought Donatello's world to 21st century London, and I was just awestruck in the presence of this genius, one of the greatest sculptors, if not the greatest sculptor in Western art. And a bit like the Frans Hals show, when you have a name like Donatello, it comes loaded, and this show did not disappoint. I was electrified. I probably spent the longest there of any exhibition this year on my one visit for the vlog, and it was just an outstanding exhibition, an outstanding representation of a very old master's work, and it brought joy to me, a bit like Frans Hals, and in a different way, Anselm Kiefer as well. So that's my top 10, but I'm sure you'll disagree. Put in the comments if there's a show that you think I've missed out. As I say, next up will be some shows that I filmed and then did not get a chance to actually publish. And I don't want to leave 2023 without showing you those, just a couple. And then on New Year's Day, we look forward, one of my favorite moments of the year, when we look at the vast expanse of 2024 and we populate it with some of the most anticipated exhibitions that are coming then. Thank you so much for watching. Please, please comment. Lots of you would disagree with my selection, and that's great. That's what art is about in lots of ways. Different reactions to the same piece. Do remember to subscribe to the Art Vlog, hit that notification bell, and most importantly of all, get out there and explore the wonderfully rich UK art scene.